Catch the Squirrel, Part 2. The Mysterious Way. The Mysterious Way. From my cradle to your grave, all you gave and you gave, and no matter how high I get, I'll still be looking up to you, up to you. 16. Drills. Throw the jab straight with a level wrist. Don't bend your wrist or you break it. Don't tuck your thumb in under your knuckles. Tuck it under the outside of the fingers like a buckle. Pop straight from the shoulder. Push it with your back. Throw it quickly. Pull it back with a snap. Pull force adds to strike force at the point of contact. Plus it quickly puts your guard back. Keep your head up. Never bow. Keep your head up. Keep the head level and crunch your torso to duck. Hit my hand. Harder. Harder. Give a crisp crack. Good. Now throw 10 crosses with each arm like you're chopping wood. Throw blows with the torso. Turn the trunk, twist the back. Remember to pull back with a snap. Like second line footwork. Backsliding with your hand. Pull back to your guard. Quick defense, fighter stance. Now uppercuts, alternating arms. Left, one, right, one. Keep your knees bent and bouncy to pounce like Tyson. Come straight up through the chin, back to your guard. Now chop the body, aim for under the rib, hit hard. Bean his kidneys to beat the wind out of him. Last resort, throw a heel at his shin. Follow through, bird leg him. Fold his leg till it's broke. Keep an eye on his throat, even a tap and he'll choke. That'll give you time to think him over. Keep rhythm in your legs like a soldier. Switch rhythm like a second liner in the street. Small area footwork, no more than 9 square feet. Remember, Aikido was developed in a prison cell. Throw like you're punching holes in the walls of his cell. Style comes out of your body, your soul's well. What you create with it, only time will tell. Drills. "17. Legba. Pray you, the you who thought you'd preach the word the world over if you lived to see that day. The big brother, the generous lover who forgave complete. I pray you shepherd my heart to the riverside. I pray to you for wisdom and peace. Pray you, God of crossroads, of veins and tree branches, of crumbling glaciers and bubbling lava, of liquor and the liver, of profession and proclivity. I pray you humor my demons to tears. I pray to you for wisdom and creativity. Pray you, ancestor savior, visionary who proved proofs, Jesus or Buddha or Krishna, Muhammad, Moses, Mary, Rumi or Socrates or Sun Tzu. I pray you mold my mind into a bowl. I pray to you for wisdom and truth. On our altar of Gibraltar, totems tell symbol stories and complexes cloud contours. Flame shimmies on black wicks. Bee sweat is frozen, still warm, mid-drip. Two-dimensional time squares framed, a cup of cool water, a treasure for a pauper. I pray you strum my soul to song when I pray to you, brother, father. Legba. 18. Gentilly Terrace. Nolan ended up on heroin. Wayne did time. Jermaine got shot. Kenny had kids. All your boys from summer 1988, Gentilly Terrace. You came through the front door. Mike, you gotta fight. Them little skinhead motherfuckers spray painted dyed niggas on the slide. You were 18 and would go to jail. Mike, you gotta fight. Tuesday, the first fight. The boy cut me with a spiked skull ring. I saw the blood drip onto my wrist. I charged him and he ran. He said he ran because you were there. He didn't want to fight again because of you. Bring out your big brother, you said, and my little brother will fight him too. I was 13 and his brother was 16, but I knew you'd be there. Wednesday. When I walked up, Nolan, Wayne, Kenny, Jermaine were all there. I knew I'd be all right no matter what. Mid-scrap, I hopped up thick phlegm, spit it in big brother skinhead's face. He charged me and I caught him, hard and clean. He stumbled. I grabbed him into a headlock. Your boys, black, Creole, and white, cheered. Pound his face, Mike! Gentilly Terrace. 19. Well, the first time I noticed your teeth shifting around in your gums, my eyes likely gasped, and you saw it. You were a beautiful man, a pulsing light behind chiseled amethyst. Your skin, red brick soaked in maple sap, was graying, fading, pale. Your teeth yellowed and turned against each other. Every time after that, as your girth shrunk on the baggy shirts, as your nose thinned and lurched forward, as your eyes seemed to bulge as a frog's, I judged the way you looked as hard living and regret. And yet you laughed the same. You sang the same. And your voice, that saxophone in your throat, with that buttery, warm vanilla chai ice cream moat flow that came from some full moon in your heart as it raised geysers and tides from the bottom of your belly. Your voice was the same when you sang because, and I heard it all. I heard all that was well. Well, $20. No chaser. Today, a brother died suddenly. Straight, no chaser. Today, a brother got murdered. Straight, no chaser. He died alone. You watched mama die. Straight, no chaser. You watched dad die. Straight, no chaser. You died alone. Did you swallow your last breath like a placebo? Did you struggle, finally? Did you reach for me? The last time we were together, after you'd cleaned up because I was coming over, after I decided not to ask where the computer was, after I told you about the fight I had with that drunk dude, after you told me about the older woman you dated, after singing your vocal warm-up, the Beatles, Because. After we smoked and drank, we watched Deadpool, laughed to tears, and we gulped tears like shots. And we chased tears with whiskey, and we chased the whiskey with smoke, and we chased the smoke with jokes, and we chased the jokes with doubts, and we chased the doubts with dreams. Sister told me you cried with pride. Straight, no chaser. You rode the bus 600 miles. Straight, no chaser. Came to see your brother live. Where was I when you died? $21. It didn't take much. Like the steam off hot rain on a hotter street. Like a shower of powdered sugar across a beignet sheet. Like a whiff of dried piss on a toilet seat. It didn't take much to make memories. Like when you punched my chest, I flew 6 feet high, slammed into the space heater, laughed till I cried, like when I jumped out to scare you after school. Like when we saw a mutant fig hanging from a tree branch, dangling, skin cracking, flesh seeping, big as a giant diseased nutsack dangling. Like when we thought body snatchers were invading. Like when we pulled the sheet out of the dog's ass. We debated whether to do it. The dog was going crazy, so we empathized. What if we had a sheet hanging out our booty? Like when the dog shit a sheet halfway out. Like when we stomped roaches like wrestlers, broom bat cicadas out of the sky, like when we cornered the polecat in our bedroom, caught a squirrel, and it tore your arm wide open. Like how we were twin donkeys, you and me. It didn't take much to make a memory. It didn't take much. 22, 4953. Our house is now shadow. We block the world outside. Purple walls, purple as blood dried. Green metal, razor blade window screens. Horizontal slit to camouflage days to slice the sun into slim beams. A brooding tree with 3-inch thorns that tore skin and wrought rashes. It swallowed the fence whole into the folds of its hard, cracked flesh. There was so many metaphors in the bricks and all that had happened there. Things we saw, things we did and saw, things we never knew. 3 children made that house Storyville. Naked girls on your wall, graffiti on my door, poetry on sister's plaster, herb on the porch. The back was a cavern, a ratchet pull from falling where we kept the broken, turned machines inside out where I bent, balling. Our home was heaven for a heathen. Our home was heaven for a heathen. Before we tore it down, before it fell to loud yellow claws, fell to a pile on the ground, we made a movie of the scene. A digital mold that'll hold till the Googleplex folds from 4953 to 3. 4953. 23. Belly to bone. You were playing chicken in 7th Descents of Myrtle. I brought a college stretch to see the play. I wanted her to know how talented my genes were in case we ended up together. You were in overalls. Myrtle sat, and your leg was up on a chair, and your crotch was inches from her face, and you pumped a few humps and wafted heat at her. And I laughed. Only my brother could get on stage, a black man, and hump a white woman's face to a roar and a standing ovation. As we left, the stretch said, "Your brother's sexy." 1,000 lives later, you were in San Francisco to spend a month with me to get out of New Orleans, because New Orleans was the trouble it had always been. I watched you turn a first impression to a month-long sponsorship. A woman gave you her Berkeley mansion and a $1,000 bocce ball-sized hash stash and bottles upon bottles and magic brownies she baked herself just to keep you lathered, belly to bone. Belly to bone. 24. Cave. Your trouble with home? You know where everything is. You know where the mice shit, where the roaches run, where the cookies are stashed, where to hide. The trouble with home, it is your dust behind the sofa, your rust on the pipes, your leak in the roof, your grass that won't grow, your bag of shit buried in the backyard. The trouble with home? There's nothing left to know. And so nothing left to hope. And so nothing left to imagine. And so nothing left to dream. And so nothing left to do. But what you always do at home. Sweep the dust under the sofa and wipe the pipes and put a pot under the leak and let the roaches crawl and let the grass die and stumble drunk to raid the cookies and don't answer the door and never answer the phone and do what you've always done at home. Hide from the real live monsters outside. I couldn't count the empty bottles I found scattered around your cave. Cave. 25. I couldn't look. You showed me beautiful, terrible compositions. Hustler magazines and A Clockwork Orange and Heavy Metal and Apocalypse Now and The Shining and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Wall and Hellraiser and Evil Dead and Harold and Maude and the Rocky Horror Picture Show, all before I was 12, before you left. I used to wonder if you were trying to make me insane. Lost in a head full of the incomprehensible, women felled to folds of flesh, cartoon heads bashed to death, bullets exploding in bodies, the frozen-eyed menace of insanity, the bottomless silence of fear, all the sublime weird. You showed me all of this. And with all you'd exposed me to, whatever hurt you were suffering, you kept that from me. And in the end, with the lifelong preparation you gave me to see the worst of the world as just lines played out, I wouldn't look at your body, decomposed and cold, breath unexpressed and stale, blood unmoved and pooled, mind unplugged and empty, flesh unraveled and open, maggots lapping at it, a haven for flies. I couldn't look. 26. Crawfish. You have to boil a crawfish alive to kill the bacteria that thrives on death. You can tell by the tail. A straight tail means it was dead before it was boiled. You don't eat the ones with straight tails. The tail should be curled tightly, still tensed, still stuck in the reflex, in the writhe of being boiled alive. You have to boil them with new potatoes and corn that cut the heat by distributing the spice to incubate in the small eggish potatoes, to coat their crinkled pink skin, to sink in their soft white meat, to make for easy chewing, to shine in the short neon corn, to nestle into each kernel, to soak deep in the cob for hard sucking. Some people suck the heads, the brains and guts, where every molecule of cayenne and paprika and bay leaf and mustard and garlic and onion and thyme and oregano embalms the mud bug under a fire red orange suit of exoskeletal crust. The sound of the sucking is what you'd expect. A soft squealing of drained organs. This is why one might cremate and free rather than embalm and bury someone they loved. Crawfish. 27. Curse. When we melted Jan's dolls, you were mesmerized by the state change. The fire dripping in beige clumps, the smoke erupting in black curls, the wild in your eyes reflected in flashes. Between my looking back nervously for Mama, you were transfixed by the fire and the quick curdling of the 1,000 years it was supposed to take plastic to disintegrate. When you smoked, you would watch the lit end burn, and the embers turned to smoke, and the smoke turned to air, and the air turned invisible, and the invisible to nothing, and nothing turned to time. You loved to smoke, I think, to see your breath, to prove it was there, and to color it gray, as the dust we will all be one day, as the pewter hue of clouds against blue, as the warm dew of our lungs and cold. I curse how you taught me, with one fully expressed breath of stress on the digging growl of the vowel and fuck, on the shushing consonant diphthong and sh, and the beatbox B in bit. Yet the best curses you taught me rise from the soul like smoke, curl around the tongue, out and up the nose and back down the throat, swallowed whole. Curse. 28. Encore. At least for now, it's all over. The flood of light subsided, left board in mind's harbor a new shore, turned the bark of consciousness to cork, broke bricks of daily witness in a blitz of force, ripped the studs out of memory's tomes, turned joists of wish to wishbone. At least for now, it's all over. Night fell to a day's tumbling curtain, to a stumbling wake, to a fumbling with the certain, to a humbling spate, to the overhang of day. And the day will likely boil, and time will likely crawl, till we fall and bawl out snores that sleep mauls us all. At least for now, it's all over. Hopes flow from every low point, above every rank, from inside the black hole of every pore, around every flank. They move and mold and spore, they churn life's crank till they wane and ebb back to the source, the deep, dark, blank. At least for now, it's all over. 29. Catch the squirrel. He ran. A rippling braid of brown-gray river water through peripheral vision, pouncing on himself from square to square, sewing himself with the rhythmic incisions of lock stitch into my intention. I stood as a window totem turned in, then turned knowingly out, to the smoke of his tail all a blur, whipping like a kite's in pulsing tufts of soft spindles. He stopped immediately. He turned to me, a direct whole body turn, and stood with a staring expression. He stared for a total 10 seconds, and I felt he was you. And if these things can happen, if a human soul can possess to grasp a gasp of things they left, if a butterfly or a dragonfly or a bee or a hummingbird or a cat or a squirrel could be filled with the spirit of you, if their own spirits could whirl in wild urges of action into a wide open human fool, if this is something you or they can do, may I catch you in them, a brief glory in action, or may I catch them as that open fool. Catch the squirrel. "30. A man's guide to a short life. Be or be not."